How I Met Your Mother is an amazing sitcom. Now, maybe you know this or maybe you don't, but this show does some things that are so amazingly perfect that I don't think any other sitcom comes close to, right? Like, sure, other sitcoms may have some level of storytelling, some level of character development, some level of emotion in their shows, but they never really impact us as much as this How I Met Your Mother show. How I Met Your Mother, when I first clicked on the show, I remember the first episode, I was watching it, and I clicked away. Now this is mainly because I just came out of watching The Big Bang Theory, and I wasn't in the mood for anything else other than watching some nerds and telling some jokes. Like, I was into Big Bang Theory, and it's hard to transition from one sitcom to another. So after a few days, I did get back into How I Met Your Mother just because of the early 2000s vibe and New York. I just love that setting. If you know me, you know I love those kind of settings, so I had to watch it. And to my surprise, this was one of my favorite shows ever. Now let me tell you why this was my favorite. A few important things. I'm comparing this with other sitcoms, not other shows, just to be more specific right now. This is an amazing sitcom, okay? Now, sitcom, when you're comparing it with other sitcoms, you already know that the competition is very less when it comes to storytelling, because most of the sitcoms don't focus on that. They focus on individual episodes and making those episodes on a certain theme and letting that certain theme be funny throughout the episode. And then you go to the next episode and you forget about the previous episode. That's kind of what sitcoms are meant to do. Now, How I Met Your Mother is a kind of show that starts off by telling you, starts off in the future by telling you a certain story that will lead, a certain story in the past that will lead to this future. How I Met Your Mother. The dad speaking to his daughter and son and telling them how he met his mother. Now, this already creates a sort of big plot line throughout the entirety of the show, right? Like, you want to know what's so special about how he met the mother and all this other fact. But as the show goes further, it sort of derails from that. Sort of focuses on other things throughout it stands to be a typical sitcom throughout the 8 episodes. Throughout the last episode, they sort of, quickly wrap it up. But yeah, this show has a few things. It has feelings. It has actual emotions that people could relate to. It has sort of emotion that you see and you go, that stuff. Like, you literally connect with characters, especially Ted. Ted is just this sad chunk of weight that we all can relate to just because how bad his life is throughout the show. And I think that makes the show even more powerful because they actually do it right. So, now before you say the ending was horrible, yes, I have to address the ending. The ending, you might say, was horrible because they sort of wrap up the mother section very quickly and just kill her off, and then we go back to Robin. Sure, that might not be the best way to have ended the show, but at the same time, if you look at the show, that one ending does not change the fact that this show was a masterpiece. You don't look at 7 seasons of coded amazing time and then see the ending and go like, okay, now the entire 7 seasons are bad as well. No. Okay, because you enjoy those 7 seasons and you are having so much fun that the final ending, even though it ends in that way, I can still forgive it. Now, here's why I think I can forgive the show, is because even though the show was named How I Met Your Mother, the main focus of the show was very rarely about the mother, right? Sure, that will occasionally talk and say this, and this is how I was going to meet your mother, or this was not your mother, or this was your aunt, or something like that, like Aunt Robin or something. Like, he would say stuff like that throughout the seasons, But individually, the episodes did not focus on the mother. They would focus on Ted's life, they would focus on Barney's life, they would focus on the other character's life. And that's why the show is great. It did that part amazingly. If you look at the show outside of the title, which is How I Met Your Mother, and just look at the show as this friends group that hang out and are in this sort of midlife section of their era, you learn to appreciate how well the show managed to keep this friendship going. Like, sure, they were not always friends. They had fights, they had odd moments, they had a lot of arguments, but they still stuck together throughout the end. And if you see the show in that way, I'm sure you'll learn to appreciate the show for what it was. Like, yes, sure, the mother in the end could have been done better, but at the same time, the show was never really about How I Met Your Mother. The show was mostly about these 5 people and how their lives were going, and how they had such a good time back in the day in going to the bars and doing crazy things and just living their life as a young adult. And I found that to be very amazing. No matter what the ending was, they still had that for them. In the end, they still deliver. Like, they don't really play with your feelings and say, oh, there was no mother at all or something. I thought they were going to go crazy by saying, oh, there was no mother at all, or maybe some other crap that they would have done that I wouldn't have liked. But they actually show you the mother, and it's an actual person and not some alien, which I was sort of hoping for. But yeah, we do get that, and we do get her sort of growing up. Like the husband and the wife, they grow up for like I don't know how many years, but they do, and the mother dies, and it's sad, yes. And then him jumping off and going back to Robin was not necessarily the best way to show, but not necessarily the best way to show another relationship right after you show that someone has been killed, right? So they might have missed a few marks here and there. But I feel like that's not their fault. They mostly did that because they had to wrap up, and when you have to wrap up, that's the best you can do. So yeah, outside of that, the show was great. Ted Mosby was great. In fact, the show teaches you so many different things. Like, when you get older, your friends start to have they have their own lives. They start to leave you, and not everything will stay with you forever, right? When Ted gets down by a girl, there's always this monologue of something inspiring and something, just good quotes that you hear with sort of subtle background music that just give you chills, right? I remember watching this and just being in awe of all of the amazing moments out there. I even remember the sad moments that come up in the show, and I was kind of shocked how well these were executed. You feel for Ted. And I don't think I've seen any sitcom do this well enough. Like, maybe Friends might have tried to do something like this, but I've never seen anyone talk about Friends and it being emotional or anything. The Big Bang Theory, even though it's everyone finds it annoying, also made some very sad episodes. If you see sort of in the later stages of the season, like 6, 7, 8, the show would literally end with no laughter or no nothing, and I'd find it weird. Like, why is a show like Big Bang Theory being completely dark and emotional? And it did not really hit me in the right spot. Like I was feeling weird. But How I Met Your Mother is the kind of show that it's a sitcom. It can make the laughs, but at the same time, it can have episodes that really strike you, and you really relate to the characters, and that's why the show is amazing. I don't think any sitcom would dare to do this. And some of the jokes in How I Met Your Mother, I don't think in today's age you could make those jokes. So it was really a time to be alive and enjoy a show that it is what it is. It's something that's amazing. It's something that's hated by people, something that's loved by other people. But for me, I just think it's perfect, right? And I want to be in the place of just thinking that it's perfect and not in either side of saying that it's bad or good, all right? It's perfect. It's a perfect show that had amazing characters, and I will remember these characters for a long time, because a good show does that. A good show makes you remember what you've seen and makes you relate to it. And that's my thoughts on How I Met Your Mother. See you next time.